A hired town car pulled up in front of the building, and the slow-moving figure of the poet emerged, dressed in khaki slacks, a tweed jacket over a dark sweater. Accompanied by his friends, the painter Dara Park, a tall, slim, strikingly handsome man with a mane of silver hair, and the editor Raymond Foy, curly-haired and boyish. When the doors opened, the ground-floor space quickly filled to capacity. Folding chairs on a wooden platform provided slightly raised seating, with standees lining the back of the room. At the front, a simple wooden table and chair were set before a plain blue backdrop. Looking around, members of the audience took stock of themselves, aware they were taking part in something special. The poet Peter Gizzi was struck by the diversity of listeners from across the city's cultural spectrum. The uptown poets and the downtown poets, the New Yorker poets, the staple magazine poets were there. Editors of big magazines, big presses, little presses were there. Abstract painters, figural painters, composers, language poets, every clan came out to hear him. After a brief welcome by Dia's director, Charles Wright, the poet John Ashbery introduced Schuyler, calling him a friend of such long standing and intimacy that asking advice from him is only a step away from consulting oneself, and praised his work for being written in what Marianne Moore calls plain American, which cats and dogs can read. He makes sense, damn it, and manages to do so without falsifying or simplifying. The reading that followed has entered the annals of New York poetry lore. Many in the audience knew of Schuyler's reclusive nature, which had prevented him from reading in public before, and his long history of mental illness, and some had heard tales of wildly eccentric behavior in his past. There was a mood of expectancy mingled with apprehension, and a sense of the audience holding its collective breath. Schuyler was impassive and outwardly calm, but in his very calm projected a certain vulnerability. He had been nervous about the reading beforehand and had been prescribed a beta blocker by his psychiatrist. "When about to enter a tumbril, always take a beta blocker," he wrote to a friend. As Schuyler settled himself with his newly published book, Selected Poems, in front of him, put on his reading glasses, and took a drink of water, the painter Duncan Hannah recalled the room growing dim, hushed, respectful, with a feeling of everyone pulling for Jimmy. Past is past, and if one remembers what one meant to do and never did, is not to have thought to do enough.